Welcome to the Bedtime Sleep. Tonight, you'll drift into the vastness of space, not to escape, but to understand. We share a new, poetic science journey with you every night. So if you enjoy being gently carried through the mysteries of the universe, subscribe for new videos every day, and let us know in the comments what you'd like to dream of next. Now close your eyes, let your breath soften, and let's begin. You lie down, still and quiet, as the last glimmer of your day disappears into dusk. Above you, the sky is a deep navy blue, scattered with pinpricks of light, a field of frozen stars glowing through the weight of time. But tonight, they don't feel far. They feel like distant lanterns on a gentle tide, floating slowly, slowly away. The stars, it turns out, are not fixed. They are not anchored to some universal ceiling. They are drifting, not falling, not fleeing, just moving, pulled by something you cannot touch, spread by a silent push you cannot hear. The universe expands. It has been expanding since its first breath, not like an explosion, but like bread rising in the oven, each crumb of galaxy stretching farther from the rest. And the longer the bread bakes, the more distant its pieces become. You are lying on one of those crumbs now. Earth, a speck on a speck, spinning slowly inside this cosmic oven. But the warmth you feel isn't from fire. It's from motion, from distance, from age. Long ago, everything was close, tight, dense, glowing like a newborn star. But over billions of years, the universe has become quiet, cold, and wide, like a song that started with drums and now ends with a whisper. What began the expansion? That's a story for another night. Tonight is about what continues it. A force that doesn't roar, a force that doesn't push like wind or pull like gravity. It simply is, and it's everywhere. Scientists call it dark energy, not because it is black or evil or even mysterious, but because it does not shine. It cannot be seen, yet it is the most powerful thing in the cosmos. It's as if the universe grew tired of staying still and decided to stretch in every direction at once. Imagine you are floating in a balloon, not the kind tied to a string, but one made of space itself. You do not feel wind or movement, but when you look at the stars around you, you see them slipping farther and farther away. This balloon, this quiet expansion, is not slowing down. In fact, it's speeding up, as if space is gaining confidence in its solitude, finding joy in spreading out. But why? Why would the universe want to grow faster, not slower? You think of gravity, the soft glue that holds planets and stars and galaxies together. You feel it every day, in your steps, in your breath, in the way your body rests against your bed right now. Gravity pulls, always. It gathers, it collects, it pulls things inward towards centers, like a hug that never lets go. And yet, dark energy pushes, softly, persistently, like a breath you didn't notice you were taking. It's as if space itself is gently exhaling, expanding between galaxies, stretching the threads of the cosmos ever thinner. This quiet push isn't strong where things are crowded, where gravity holds court, in stars, in planets, in you. Dark energy sits back, respectful, but in the vast, dark spaces between galaxies, where silence reigns, it gets to work, expanding, reaching, breathing. You might wonder, how do we know this? If we can't see it or touch it, how can we be so sure? It's in the way light behaves. You see, light travels like a message in a bottle, sent from one galaxy to another, carrying memories of where it came from. And when it arrives, it has changed. It's stretched. Its color has reddened. a sign that space itself grew while it traveled. This redshift is a whisper from the stars. We are farther now than we were before. It's the sky's way of telling you the universe is growing, not just in space, but in time. So you lie back again, breathing gently, and imagine yourself floating between galaxies, far beyond the pull of Earth or Moon, beyond the edge of your solar system, where stars look like grains of salt scattered across a velvet sheet. Out here, space isn't quiet. It's peaceful, a quiet that isn't empty, but full of motion too slow to notice, forces too patient to feel. You are surrounded by light from the past, light that left its home before Earth had trees, before oceans teemed with life, before your ancestors looked up and wondered what the stars were made of. That light still travels, still stretches, still tells a story, and dark energy is the narrator, silent, invisible, but always present, shaping the stage without stepping into the spotlight. You begin to feel the stillness between your heartbeats. And in that space, imagine the stillness between galaxies, the quiet, the drift, the soft, ceaseless expansion that never hurries but never stops. You do not need to chase it. You are already a part of it. Tonight, you float through that knowledge. That space itself is not just a backdrop, but a living fabric, changing, stretching, breathing in dimensions too large to hold in a single thought. And as you drift toward sleep, you wonder if space isn't empty at all, if it holds this mysterious breath called dark energy. Then what exactly is this nothingness made of? Could the void be full? You are still. Your eyes are closed, but your mind remains open, suspended in the dark. Not the darkness of fear or forgetting, but the soft, endless quiet that follows the stars. Last night, you drifted into the great expansion, the universe unfolding around you like a deep breath that never ends. You felt the pull between the stars, the gentle hush of galaxies slipping away, the quiet rhythm of a universe that grows as it rests. But now, you hover in the space between, not on a star, not on a planet, not near anything at all, just drifting, weightless, in a vast and silent nothing. And yet, it doesn't feel empty. Not really. Not the way silence is never truly silent. Not the way night is never completely dark. Because here, in this stillness, you begin to notice something. A sensation just beyond sensation. A kind of presence. A hum that isn't heard, but somehow felt. This is vacuum energy. A name given to the whisper between every particle. The soft vibration of what we once thought was nothing. For centuries, people imagined space as a void. An empty, hollow stage where matter performs. A blank slate. A nothing between somethings. But now, science tells a gentler, stranger truth. There is no such thing as nothing, even in the quietest patch of space. Between galaxies. Between atoms. Between moments. Something dances. Particles and antiparticles. Pairs that blink into being and vanish again. Rise from the vacuum like thoughts from stillness. They don't last, but they exist if only for a breath. This restless flutter of being and unbeing fills every corner of the cosmos. Even when the corners look empty, even when your eyes see nothing at all, it's as if space is dreaming, and in its dreams, these tiny flickers of energy appear and dissolve, never fully waking, but never fully gone. These are called quantum fluctuations. Small, momentary pulses of energy that ripple through the vacuum like sighs. They are not dangerous. They are not violent. They are soft, like rain falling on a lake so gently. It leaves no ripple at all. And yet, collectively, they have weight. Not the kind of weight you can hold, but a weight that shapes the universe itself. This vacuum energy, this flickering hum of the supposed void, is one of the candidates for dark energy, because even though we don't see it, it pushes, it presses, it stretches the fabric of space. With the patience of eternity, you are still floating now, adrift in what seems like nothing, but is quietly full of possibility, full of invisible trembling, full of the energy that holds up everything else. And this changes something in you. Because if the emptiest parts of space are not truly empty, then perhaps the emptiest parts of yourself aren't either. That feeling of nothingness, those quiet pauses in thought, those long exhalations of emotion, those moments when you feel like you are drifting. Maybe they're not empty. Maybe they are full of things just too small, too quiet, too gentle to see. And just like vacuum energy, maybe those tiny pulses of your inner world are shaping something bigger, not pushing you apart, but expanding you in ways you don't yet understand. In physics, this vacuum energy is puzzling. Too large, too constant, too strange. The math doesn't always agree with it, but the universe seems to insist it's there. And maybe that's the lesson, that not everything real can be cleanly measured. That sometimes presence is not in the numbers, but in the feeling. You move now not with force, but with awareness, with the realization that what surrounds you is not absence, but soft presence. You are in a field, an invisible field of trembling light, and this field stretches endlessly, not just around you, but through you. Because even here, inside your body, between your cells, between the atoms that make your breath and bones, the vacuum energy hums. You are not made of matter alone. You are shaped by what's between. You are the structure. In the space between the structure, you are the pause and the pulse. Physicists call this energy the cosmological constant, a name that sounds cold and distant, but really just means this presence doesn't change. It is steady. It is quiet. It is always. And this steady push, so soft, so everywhere, is one of the great puzzles of the cosmos, because no one knows exactly what it is, but it must be there, for the stars to drift, for space to grow, for the night to unfold. You inhale, exhale, and in that rhythm, you feel the pulse of space itself. The longer you stay here, the more familiar it becomes. This idea that even emptiness has a heartbeat. You begin to imagine the universe differently now. Not as stars scattered in blackness, but as glowing islands, floating in a warm, invisible sea. And the sea is alive. It doesn't wave or roar. It simply expands. Softly, steadily. You are suspended in that sea now. Weightless, timeless, supported by nothing, and yet held by everything. You are beginning to understand what the cosmos truly is. Not empty, but open. Not silent, but softly singing. And as your thoughts quiet, as your mind begins to rest, a new curiosity stirs. If this space that surrounds you is never truly empty, then what about the space inside you? What whispers might be hiding in the gaps between your own atoms? What story might the silence be telling? The stars are still above you, soft and distant, like specks on black velvet brushed by time. But now, something has changed. You no longer see the sky as still. You know it's moving, expanding, growing in silence. Last night, you floated through the truth. That space is never truly empty. Tonight, you begin to understand how we know. Imagine a map, not a map of streets or cities, but a map of everything. A chart of the universe itself. You hold it gently in your mind. It is not flat. It is not still. It moves, breathes, reshapes itself as you gaze. Galaxies slide across its surface, quietly rearranging as space swells beneath them. It's not a map drawn in ink, but one written in light. Light that left stars billions of years ago. Light that has traveled across an ever-changing sea. This light is your guide, and the way it stretches tells the story of space stretching, too. You've heard of this before. Redshift. The way light waves stretch as they travel through expanding space. A galaxy's light, once blue, arrives more red, as if its very color holds the memory of motion. The farther the galaxy, the greater the redshift, the deeper the past, the longer the stretch. And in this soft spectrum of color, we find a compass, a ruler, a way to measure a universe that won't sit still. This is how we built our cosmic map, not by touching, but by listening to the light. You are not just watching stars. You are watching time itself, because light takes time to travel. What you see is not what is, but what was. You look at a star and see it as it looked, hundreds, thousands, even millions of years ago. The farther you look, the farther back you go. It's like standing in a hall of mirrors, each reflection a version of a moment long gone, and you suspended between them all, both observer and participant. But this map isn't finished. It never is, because the universe keeps expanding, and the light keeps stretching, even as you look. The galaxies are farther away than they were. When the light began its journey, you realize the odd truth. We can see distant galaxies, but we will never reach them, because by the time we even begin to move, they've drifted farther still. You let that idea settle inside you. The comfort and ache of it, that you are a part of something, too vast to grasp, but not too vast to feel. The cosmic map moves in silence, but its shape is drawn by patterns. Ripples in the afterglow of the Big Bang. Echoes of light etched across the sky like faint fingerprints. We call this faint glow the cosmic microwave background. A soft, uniform whisper from the time when the universe was just 380,000 years old. Before stars, before galaxies, just light and hydrogen and hope. And this background is everywhere, even now. As you lie still and quiet, you are bathing in it. It flows through you, like a forgotten lullaby. With careful instruments, we map its tiny fluctuations, variations smaller than 1,000th of a degree. But in these ripples, we find the seeds of everything, the structure, the clusters, the galaxies to come. This cosmic glow is your oldest light, older than any fossil, older than any memory. It is the light that carries the shape of the early universe. In its gentle waves, you close your eyes and imagine those ripples like waves across a pond, each one the breath of creation, moving outward, still echoing, still expanding. And as the universe grew, the map grew too, but not just in distance. It grew in acceleration. This is where dark energy makes its quiet mark again, because the redshift tells us something strange. Galaxies are not just moving away. They are moving faster the farther they are. It's like standing in a room and watching everyone walk away. But the ones farthest from you are not walking. They're running. This discovery startled scientists. It broke expectations, because for so long we thought gravity would slow the expansion, like a ball tossed into the air, eventually falling back. But instead, the ball accelerates. The galaxies move faster, not slower, as if some unseen hand is urging them on. That hand, soft and invisible, is dark energy. It doesn't push like a wave. It stretches like time. It creates distance between things that were once close. And the map you hold is not just a picture of where galaxies are, but how far they've gone and how much more they'll move. With every passing breath, you begin to understand that the map is more like a mirror, reflecting not just the structure of space, but the rhythm of change itself. It is alive, not in the way a creature breathes, but in the way a song changes with every note, in the way a memory shifts each time it's recalled. Even now, as you listen, as you drift into quiet thought, the map shifts again. Galaxies ease outward. Light stretches further. And the story of the cosmos writes one more silent line. You float above this living scroll, not needing to read every word, only feeling its presence beneath you. Vast, unfolding, forever incomplete. And just before sleep gathers you, a question floats up like a feather. If this map shows us the motion of galaxies, what else might light reveal? Could the stars, through their trembling colors, show us the threads that pull them, the hidden force that tugs at space itself? Light reaches you gently, not in a flash, but as a whisper, a long, stretched breath that has traveled farther than you can imagine. And now, as you lie still beneath the sky, you open yourself to its slow, winding story. You are surrounded by light, not just from the stars above, but from the past itself. Every soft glimmer, every pale shimmer, is the end of a journey that began before you were born, before your world took shape, before your planet cooled from its fire. Tonight, you travel with it, not by ship or engine, but by imagination, by following the path of a photon, a single particle of light. It begins in the heart of a star, deep within a furnace so bright and dense, it takes tens of thousands of years for a single photon to reach the surface. It bounces, scatters, pauses, and then it's free, released into the black, into the expanding canvas of the cosmos. Now, imagine you are that photon, small, weightless, pure, and suddenly in motion, not through air or water, but through space itself. Space is not empty. You've learned that already. It trembles. It stretches. It is weight without form. And as you glide through it, you feel its slow, constant tug, not like gravity, which pulls towards sinners, but like distance itself getting longer beneath you, as though the space you're crossing is inflating under your feet. With every passing moment, your wavelength begins to stretch, not because you are slowing down, but because the universe around you is pulling apart. The farther you travel, the more space stretches behind you. You grow redder, cooler, quieter. This isn't loss. It's transformation. You become the record of how space itself has changed, a thread that remembers every inch of fabric you've crossed. You don't blink. You don't rest. You are pure momentum, unchanged by time, except by this gentle stretching. And it is that stretch, that change in your wavelength, that tells us something vital. It tells us that the universe is not still. It tells us that it grows, not just in size, but in rhythm. The photon's redshift is a kind of clock, a slow, cosmic heartbeat, measured not in ticks, but in color. Astronomers watch that color. They measure how stretched the light has become. And from that stretch, they calculate distance. They estimate time. Light becomes a ruler, a bridge between now and then, a golden thread we follow backward to understand where we came from, and forward to guess where we're going. As you lie still, you begin to feel that thread wrapped around you too, because the light that touches your eyes is not random. It chose this path. It traveled it for a reason. To meet you here. In this exact breath, the photons may be small, but their story is vast. They have crossed through fields of dark matter, past galaxies colliding, through voids where nothing shines. They have stretched alongside dark energy, feeling its subtle tug, and still, they arrive, softly, quietly. They do not shout, they do not age, but they hold within them a trace of every space they've crossed. You begin to wonder, what does the photon remember? What shape did it once have? What sound did it once make? It remembers the shape of the universe itself, because it was there. It rode the waves, as they changed, as they opened. It is how we know that dark energy exists, because no matter how distant the galaxy, its light tells the same story. I have been stretched. I have traveled through growing space. I have seen time expand beneath me. This is how we map the unseen out, by trusting the stretched silence of light. And yet, there's more, because sometimes we see light that has been bent, not by glass, not by reflection, but by the gravity of massive objects. A galaxy, a black hole. They can bend the space around them, and light, always obedient, follows the curve. This bending is called gravitational lensing. It's another thread, another way to read the folds of the universe, a way to see the invisible. Sometimes, a single galaxy becomes a ring. Other times, it appears twice. Mirrored, warped, light taking multiple paths around a single mass. These distortions are not mistakes. They are messages. They tell us where gravity hides, where matter gathers, and where the unseen forces like dark energy must be balancing that pull. Because if only gravity worked, the universe would not stretch like this. The photon's path would be different. The colors would not shift so far. Something else is working. Something soft. Something slow. Something that tugs at the edges of time itself. Dark energy doesn't leave fingerprints, but it leaves shadows in the way light travels. It leaves echoes in the distance between galaxies. It leaves curves in the path of photons. You begin to see the cosmos not as a set of things, but as a set of threads. Threads made of light, twisting through time, revealing the shape of what we cannot touch. And as you drift further into rest, you imagine yourself wrapped in those threads. You are suspended, not by force, but by knowledge, by wonder. You don't need to understand every equation. You don't need to see every galaxy. You only need to follow the light, to let it lead you into the quiet truth. That time, too, can be pulled, that even the past can be stretched. Whispering to you from stars long gone, you rest now, held by a thread, older than thought, drawn through a universe that grows even in sleep. And just before dreams take you, a thought lingers. If light stretches across the cosmos, what does it reveal? About the tug-of-war between the universe's forces? If time itself can be stretched, what force is doing the pulling? The stars above you do not speak, yet their silence is a language of motion. You feel it now more than ever, not as a storm, but as a hush that gently unwinds the sky. Each night, you've floated farther from Earth, not in distance, but in understanding. First came the stretch of the cosmos, then the fullness of emptiness, then the light that whispers from the past. Now you arrive at attention, a quiet standoff woven into the very fabric of space. Gravity versus dark energy. You know gravity well. It is the pull that holds your body to the bed, the weight of your limbs as you rest. It is the force that shaped your planet, that carved rivers, raised mountains, and sculpted stars. Gravity is reliable, a patient, unwavering hand. It pulls everything inward, gathering dust into planets, gas into stars, galaxies into clusters. It builds, it holds, it wants togetherness. And yet, the universe is drifting apart, not slowing, not hovering in balance, but accelerating. Galaxies flinging away from one another, faster with every passing moment. It is as if the cosmos is quietly resisting gravity's embrace. You begin to feel it differently now, not just as expansion, but as rebellion, a silent resistance, woven into the bones of space. Dark energy. It does not push like a wind. It does not shove or scatter. It simply stretches the space between things. Like mist creeping between fingers. It moves slowly, invisibly, pulling not on objects, but on the space around them. It is not strong in the crowded places. In galaxies, in stars, in you, gravity still reigns. But in the vast dark between, where silence holds court, dark energy becomes sovereign. You imagine this tension now. A galaxy cluster held together by gravity, tied by unseen cords of matter. But all around it, space expands, softly, endlessly, pulling the edges apart. The core holds, but the boundaries stretch. It's not a war. It's not even a fight. It's a difference in desire. Gravity wants to bind. Dark energy wants to loosen. One clutches, the other releases. And yet both coexist. You feel this balance in yourself, too. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Let go. You are both gravity and dark energy. The urge to stay and the longing to drift. Science once believed the universe would slow, that gravity would eventually halt expansion, maybe even reverse it, pulling all matter back into a final collapse. They called it the Big Crunch, a fiery reunion of all things, an end where beginnings meet. But the data tells another story. Galaxies are moving apart too fast. The pull of gravity, though ancient and patient, is not enough. Something else. This dark energy is growing stronger, not because its nature changes, but because space is expanding. And the more space there is, the more dark energy fills it. Not thinned, but constant. It is a strange truth. A truth that changes the future. If dark energy continues its quiet rebellion, then the universe won't crunch. It will cool. It will darken. It will drift. Until galaxies are so far apart, they vanish from each other's view. You imagine that future now. A time when night skies go empty. When stars no longer shine for distant worlds. When each pocket of matter is an island in a sea that no longer touches. It sounds lonely, but it also sounds inevitable. You find peace in that thought, that everything stretches, not out of chaos, but out of some deep, quiet rhythm. You wonder what it means to live in a universe where even gravity, the strongest, most faithful force, is not always enough. Perhaps it means that not all holding on is meant to last, that sometimes release is the more powerful gesture. You return to your breath again, the rise, the fall, the closeness, the release. You are gravity when you remember. You are dark energy when you let go. And in the space between remembering and releasing, there is motion, not rushed, not loud, but real. The expansion continues, not with urgency, but with certainty. Each star grows lonelier, each galaxy more distant. And yet, the structure of it all remains beautiful. Because even in drift, there is design. Even in surrender, there is symmetry. Dark energy does not rage. It does not conquer. It expands. It softens. It widens the canvas. so more stories may unfold. You rest in that idea. That maybe what looks like separation is simply making room. And as your thoughts grow lighter, your breath deeper, you begin to wonder if gravity pulls toward center and dark energy moves away. What does it feel like to measure that in between? To observe it without touching, just by listening to how galaxies drift. In the silence, the night wraps around you like velvet. Soft, still, familiar. You lie there, letting gravity hold you, while your thoughts begin to drift again. But this time, not backward into the origins of things, but forward into the quiet edges of what may come. You have followed the whispers of light. You've floated beside galaxies that slip away, watched time stretch like golden thread, and seen how the universe gently resists gravity's hold. Now you begin to ask, where does it all go? What happens to a universe that expands and expands and never stops? There's no bang at the end, no final flash, just the slow unfurling of space, until even memory begins to fade. This is the future scientists call the heat death, or more gently, the long dark. You picture it like a candle, whose flame has burned down not in a gust, but in silence, leaving a faint warmth, and a world without shadows. In the next few billion years, stars will keep burning, some still forming from gas, though fewer with each passing era. But eventually, the fuel runs low. Hydrogen thins. Galaxies grow dim. Star birth slows, then stops. And the stars that do remain, they too begin to die. One by one, the skies go quiet. Some explode. Some collapse into black holes. Others cool into quiet embers called white dwarfs, glowing softly, then fading. What remains are remnants, bones of brilliance, drifting apart, across widening space. By now, dark energy has done its work. Galaxies no longer see one another. The light from each takes so long to travel. It never arrives. Even if someone stood watching, they would see only black. Not because the stars are gone, but because their light can no longer reach. It is a lonely cosmos, but not a cruel one. Nothing is torn. Nothing screams. There is no war between forces. Only silence. Only softness. Imagine that silence. The hush of a universe that has finished its glowing. You might think of it as an end, but it is not a moment. It is a drift, a soft dissolving of boundaries, a slow loosening of all ties, like the way a dream disappears. Not when you wake, but when you stop remembering. Even black holes, those quiet giants, will not last. They will evaporate. A process so slow, it stretches beyond numbers, beyond language. Hawking radiation, they call it, a whisper of energy, escaping the most silent mouths. And when they too are gone, what remains is a universe of particles, spread thin, across endless space. No stars, no planets, just quiet motion. In a night without name, you listen, not for sound, but for meaning. Is this the end of beauty? Is this the last breath of wonder? Or is there something in this final quiet that matters just as much? Because if you trace it backward, if you look at the stars we see now, the warmth you feel tonight, the stories still written in light, you know that this long future was made possible by the brightness that came before, by galaxies that held each other, by light that stretched and pulled and danced, by a universe that once glowed, so we could be here. Now, you begin to feel it. This is not a tragedy. It is a cycle, a natural, necessary rest. Just as your body needs sleep, so too may the universe need stillness, not because it has failed, but because it has completed a long, beautiful unfolding. Perhaps this final silence is not an absence, but a reflection, the echo of every star that burned, every atom that collided, every thread of light that carried a memory. You are still. The night deepens around you, and somewhere, billions of years from now, a single particle may float through cold space, still glowing faintly from the heat of long-forgotten stars. You think of your own warmth, how your body carries heat, from the birth of suns, from the expansion of space, from the balance between gravity and release. And that warmth is not gone. It's moving, stretching, becoming something else. Just like the universe, you realize that endings don't always mean disappearance. Sometimes they mean becoming part of something wider. So when the universe reaches its slow fade, perhaps it doesn't vanish. It merges. It becomes memory. It becomes stillness. It becomes space for something new, or simply remains, forever quiet, forever vast. You breathe in. There is no need to rush. The future is far, and the stars still shine tonight. But in the hush of this chapter, you begin to feel how endings can hold you, gently, like a blanket pulled over your shoulders. And just as your eyes grow heavy, a thought slips in. If the universe is stretching toward quiet, is there anything at all, that can push back? Or does everything eventually let go? You lie still, your breath soft against the dark. You have traveled far, through stars and silence, through light and drift. And now the universe feels full, not of motion, but of wondering. What if all this stretching stopped? Just for a moment. A breath caught between inhale and exhale. A pause so vast it takes a billion years to feel. The universe has been expanding since the first soft spark. Each chapter has stretched wider than the last. But is there a line it cannot cross? A curve it must eventually trace back? Science listens for this, to it. The whisper of reversal. The faint pulse of stillness. Between the pull of gravity and the push of dark energy. And in that whisper, there lies a possibility. A question that hums quietly, just beneath the noise of stars. What if expansion doesn't go on forever? You feel it now. This idea of a pause, not an end, not a collapse, but a moment. A cosmic hesitation, a place where the universe feels the tension between letting go and holding on. Some theories imagine this. A balance so perfect that the expansion slows, and then stops. A moment of weightless stillness, where galaxies no longer move apart, but float suspended. No rushing, no pulling, only quiet. This balance would mean dark energy and gravity have reached an agreement, a mutual silence. And in that stillness, there might be change. Perhaps gravity stirs again, softly at first, like a memory of closeness. Stars begin to drift inward. Galaxies lean toward each other. The thread of space begins to shorten instead of stretch. This is the idea of the big crunch, the reversal of expansion, the rewinding of the universe. Not a collapse like a fall, but a gathering. Space folding in on the story it once told. It's a beautiful idea, and like all ideas about the far future, it lives in questions. Because for now, dark energy continues its quiet insistence. The pause remains only a dream, but the fact that it's possible, even just possible, gives you pause, too. Because a pause holds power. It's not nothing. It's a still point where meaning lives. Just as your breath holds still between beats, so too could the universe rest between forces. And maybe, in that moment, something new could begin. Not a repeat of the past, but a soft shift. A new law, a new rhythm, a universe that grows not in distance, but in depth, in complexity, in reflection. You imagine space folding like cloth, not tearing, galaxies meeting again, not crashing, but bowing, as dancers who once moved apart find their way back to the center. And even if this never comes to pass, if dark energy remains the dominant voice, the possibility lets you see everything differently. It reminds you that not all paths are straight, that time, too, may loop or linger, that some endings wait, that some futures breathe before becoming. In your own life, you felt this pause, moments where everything slowed, a decision, a goodbye, a change you didn't yet understand. You waited, and in that waiting, something grew, not seen, but felt. The universe may do the same. And so now, in the hush of night, you lie here, wondering not just what will happen, but what could. Because if the stars could one day stop their drifting, if light could pause mid-journey, then perhaps everything is not only motion, but also possibility. Perhaps the deepest truth is that we do not yet know, and there is beauty in not knowing, in wondering, in allowing the pause to speak. You drift with that thought, not rushing, letting the future unfold like a slow tide. And as your mind slips into rest, a final idea floats gently in. If the universe once paused, what happened before it began to move? What came before the first expansion? Before time itself had rhythm? You are lying still as the universe once was. Your breath quiets, not gone, just waiting, held like a secret, in the soft space before speech. Tonight, you travel backward again, not just through stars or light, not just to the first flash of time, but to the place before beginnings. You float toward the moment, before the Big Bang, before clocks, before color, before space had anywhere to go. You do not arrive at a thing. You arrive at a hush, a breath the universe hadn't yet taken. You may ask, what existed before everything? The truth is, even the word before trembles here, because time, as you know it, had not yet begun. No seconds, no ticking, only a pause without end. Or perhaps something deeper, a potential, a tension not of conflict, but of waiting, a still lake, so calm, it could mirror anything. Some call it nothing, but it is not the nothing of absence. It is the nothing of full silence, a fertile stillness, ready to become, a breath held forever, until something, a shimmer, a quantum whisper, a shift, began to tremble. You are floating in that shimmer now. Science can describe the moment after the beginning, the sudden expansion, the creation of particles, the heating, the cooling, the forming of forces. But before that, here, theories are soft sketches, not answers, but gestures, clues written in cosmic dust. Some say the universe sprang from a quantum fluctuation, an imbalance in the fabric of nothing, like a ripple rising on a still pond without wind. Others whisper of a multiverse, endless bubbles, each a universe with its own rhythm, its own constants, its own story. Ours just one breath among many, and some suggest a loop, a previous universe collapsing, contracting into silence, and then expanding again, a cosmic inhale and exhale, too slow to see, too vast to trace. You let these ideas drift through you, not to solve them, but to feel their shape. They are lullabies for the mind. Songs not of certainty, but of wonder. Because whether the universe began from nothing or from something, from silence or from rhythm, the truth is, you are part of that breath, the atoms in your chest, the warmth of your skin, the pulse behind your eyes, all trace back to that single beginning. You are not separate from the universe's story. You are one of its sentences. And that sentence started with the quietest thought, before the glow, before the heat, before even expansion had direction. There was the possibility of something, and that possibility became light, became matter, became you. So you rest now, not at the edge of time, but at the center of something older than time. And from that center, you ask, if something came from silence once, could it happen again? Could the universe be breathing still out, not just outward, but in? Could there be another pause, another shimmer, another beginning, far beyond the horizon of our knowing? The thought is not frightening. It is peaceful, because it means nothing is final. Even silence has motion within it. Even stillness can bloom. You return to your breath, in, out, pause. That pause is where the whole cosmos may have started. That pause is where you are now, held not by answers, but by the gentle rhythm of not knowing, the hum beneath the noise, the breath before the word. You drift here, inside the oldest question. Can something come from nothing? And as your thoughts dissolve, a new one forms. If the universe can begin in silence, then where might it begin again? You lie here, surrounded by dark and quiet, yet something moves inside your stillness. A sense of space, a sense of distance that doesn't hold still. You picture the universe now, not as a canvas, not as a dome overhead, but as something living. A shape that stretches without breaking. A map without borders. Long ago, maps were made of certainty. Mountains drawn in ink. Rivers set with names. The sea marked with dragons where the known gave way to mystery. But the universe defies such drawings. It won't stay still for lines. If you tried to map it, the borders would blur as you looked. The distances would shift like breath, and the stars would step away. The moment you placed your hand, this isn't a flaw. It's the truest thing about space, that it's always in motion, not just the things inside it, but space itself. It stretches, expands, unfolds without edge or center. Imagine that now. A map where there is no top, no bottom, no center point, where every place is moving, and the act of measuring changes what you see. Astronomers map the universe differently now. They don't draw it with rulers and grids. They trace motion. They chart light. They listen to the hum left behind by the early universe, called the cosmic microwave background. The afterglow of the Big Bang, still echoing through space. That light shows us where things once were. Galaxies, gas, gravity at work. But where those things are now, that's different. The space between is stretched. The light has lengthened, and the map has moved on. You feel it even as you rest. The impossibility of pinning the cosmos in place. And yet, we try. We build 3D maps of galaxies. We send telescopes into orbit. We measure redshift, how far the light is stretched, as space expands. And what we find is not a picture. It's a story. The universe doesn't give us still frames. It gives us motion. It gives us time. Your body, right now, is part of that movement. Every atom in you, was once in a different place, a different rhythm. You are not fixed. You are part of the shifting map. Even your place in the Milky Way moves. The Earth spinning, orbiting the Sun, which spins through our galaxy, which itself drifts in a sea of galaxies, each one moving apart. Because of dark energy's silent nudge, you're not lost. You're flowing. And the more you think about it, the more you realize. A fixed map would be a lie. It would erase the very nature of the universe. That it changes, that it grows, that it doesn't need an edge. To be whole, even the shape of the universe isn't something we fully know. Is it flat? Is it curved inward like a sphere? Or outward like a saddle? We don't know, but we measure. We wonder. We listen. And in the act of listening, we find meaning. Because the map isn't for control. It's for curiosity. You feel it now. Not the need to hold the cosmos still, but the joy of tracing where it's been and where it might be going. This is a different kind of map, not made of borders, but of relationships. The distance between stars, the motion between clusters, the silence between breaths, even dark energy, has changed the way we map the future. It tells us, you won't reach all the stars. Some are already too far. Their light, stretched thin, may never arrive. And that's okay, because the map is not about reaching. It's about knowing that the path exists. Even if it fades, even if it drifts, you're still part of the path. You're still inside the story. You close your eyes now and see the universe not as a chart, but as a song, a slow, unfolding melody, written across time. Each note is a galaxy, each pause a mystery. And you are the listener, the map maker made of stardust, charting not for power, but for peace. You breathe in, the stars expand. You breathe out, the map continues. And just before sleep carries you, a thought lingers. If we can't find the edge of the universe, is that because it's endless? Or because the journey itself is the only map we need? Tonight feels quieter than the rest. The sky is no darker, the stars no fewer, and yet you feel something settle. Not an ending, but an arrival. You have wandered through silence, through forces without faces, through motion that never asks for your permission. And here you are, not outside at all, but inside, woven into the rhythm of the universe itself. You are not lying still. Even now, you drift, not in body, but in story. Your breath is a tide. Your thoughts are galaxies. And your presence is motion. You once thought of yourself as something grounded, something fixed on earth. But now you know, you are moving. You are always moving. The earth spins beneath you, fast enough to make the day. The earth orbits the sun, fast enough to make the year. The sun spins through the Milky Way, and the Milky Way dances outward, like all galaxies, pulled gently by something we barely understand. Dark energy, still working, still stretching the space between all things. And you stretch too. Your cells divide. Your thoughts unfold. Your dreams reach into places you haven't even seen. This is not metaphor. It is truth. Your atoms were forged in stars. Their arrangement, your body, is a map of ancient forces. The carbon in your breath once floated inside a red giant. The iron in your blood was born in an explosion. You are, and always have been, part of a drifting story. It is not a lonely drift. It is not lost. It is not meaningless. It is freedom. The freedom to become, to change, to move without needing to arrive. We often ask where the universe is going, what its final shape will be, what lies ahead. But perhaps the better question is, where is it now? What does it feel like? To simply be part of this motion? To belong, not in place, but in process? You feel it in your own life. How days stretch, how memories fade or return, how things fall apart and come together again. You have expanded too, not in size, but in knowing, in stillness, in wonder. This is what dark energy teaches, quietly, without needing words. That letting go is not a loss. It is a form of movement. That expansion doesn't have to be fast. It can be gentle, like growing older, like falling asleep, like becoming more of who you already are. You are not just inside the universe. The universe is inside you. Its laws shape you. Its silence soothes you. Its questions live in your chest. Even now, as your eyes close, you are changing. Your breath shifts. Your thoughts soften. Your heart, so small compared to stars, still beats in perfect rhythm with all that drifts. So tonight, as your body rests and your mind quiets, know this. You are part of the fabric. You are not behind the glass, watching the cosmos unfold. You are the unfolding. You are the curve of time, the edge of a galaxy, the note in a song that never ends, only fades, only returns. Let go now, not to escape, but to drift, gently, into the space between thoughts. There is no edge, no final star, no map you must follow. There is only this, a breath, a stretch, a moment of peace, in the great soft rhythm that carries us all. And maybe, in that rhythm, you'll find not just rest, but belonging. Because the truth is simple. You were never watching the drift. You are the drift. And now, you rest. You've drifted far tonight. From stars being born, to stars letting go. From the quiet pull of galaxies, to the shimmer of what may have come before time itself. You have floated through silence, through stillness, through endless space expanding gently around you. But as your eyes grow heavy, you begin to feel what's always been true. The journey was never just outward. It was inward, all along, because every galaxy you imagined, every wave of light, every distant rhythm, also lives inside your breath. You are not a visitor in this cosmos. You are written into it. You are the result of stars collapsing, and of space stretching softly between them. You are what happens when the universe learns to listen to itself. So now, as sleep folds gently around your thoughts, remember this. You don't need to understand everything to belong to it. You are part of the drift, part of the dark energy that carries galaxies apart and dreams inward. There is no edge. There is no end. Only this moment and the slow unfolding of everything you are becoming. So let go now. Let the questions become clouds. Let the answers wait for morning. And let your breath carry you quietly into the universe you already hold inside. Good night, explorer. Sleep well. Here, in the wide, soft silence of forever. Thank you for listening to the Bedtime Sleep. Subscribe for more calming science journeys every night. Let us know what you'd like to dream about next in the comments.